Okay, so I know what you're thinking. I know you read that thumbnail and I know you're like, what in the world is Carly talking about? What does this even mean? Chickens come home to roost. I know. It's kind of a rather strange thing to say, but it's a proverb and we actually say it, especially here in America. Stick with me and I will dissect this proverb with you. And by the end of this video, I'm sure you will have a full understanding of this proverb and possibly start using it yourself. All right. So here's the story. Have you ever been in a situation where you know you have to get something done, but you don't want to do it, right? I can name like 50 right off the top of my head. For example, laundry. I hate laundry. I think I've said it quite a few times here on YouTube. I don't like doing laundry. It's just not my thing. Actually, dishes too. I can clean house. I can wash the clothes. I can put the dishes away. But like, I don't want to put the clothes away and wash the dishes. I just realized it's kind of like opposite. I just don't like doing chores, but you know, it's a part of life. And there's a lot of things in life that we have to do even if we don't want to do it. But I will say, a lot of times we procrastinate those things that we don't want to do, right? I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, it happens, all right? No harm, no foul. We're all human, so it happens. We don't like to do something and we procrastinate doing that thing because we don't want to do it. Well, some people procrastinate every now and then. Some people try not to procrastinate at all. And some people, like me, procrastinate all the time. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I have been working on this little thing about me, you know, because I don't like the fact that I procrastinate. So the past, I would say 5 or 6 years of my life, I have considerably changed. All right, I have changed my ways and I don't procrastinate as much as I used to. But like I said, we all have that one thing, you know, every now and then you just don't want to do. And so you procrastinate doing it. And then a lot of times you either finish it and it's kind of like not your best work, or you don't finish it, or maybe you get it done, but you're stayed up 12 hours past your bedtime and now it's morning. Like, you know, there's always like negative repercussions that surround procrastinating or procrastination. Around 6 years ago, I realized that every time I procrastinate, something bad happens. So I've tried to change my ways the past 6 years. I'm not perfect by no means, but I am a lot better at it, at not procrastinating than I was 6 years ago. Here's a story though of how the chickens come home to roost, or past tense, the chickens came home to roost for me. The year was 2017 and I was in grad school. So I was going to school for my master's degree in ESL, well, TESOL technically, teaching English as a second language. And I was in grad school in America online while I was living in Korea. So it was like a lot to juggle. I was living in Korea. I was working in Korea. I had, a 3-year-old son, and I was going to grad school full time. So working full time, grad school full time, but online, and I had my 3-year-old son. So I was juggling a lot of things. And honestly, I kind of thought what my priority is. When I thought it out, I thought, okay, of course my family is my priority, number 1. All right, number 2 is what provides for my family, so that will be my job. And number 3 was school on my list of priorities. So now looking back, I probably should have rearranged that a little bit, because grad school was an investment. But you know what? We're not going to go down that road. We're going to focus just here for a little bit. Number 1 priority was making sure my kid was good. You know, he had everything he needed. Second was making sure I didn't do anything wrong at work or mess up at work, because I needed the money to provide for my family. So that was my second priority. And then school was my third, although school was a high priority for me too, because obviously it's a lot of money, it's expensive. I don't want to mess anything up. I want to make sure I study and I pass so I can get my diploma and leave. However, I was extremely busy, all right, extremely busy. Oftentimes I would find myself the night before something's due, doing everything. Doing everything and trying to upload it and staying up late, working. And I know that's a part of being a college student, and I know it's definitely a part of being a mom, a working employee, and a grad student all at the same time. I know you have sleepless nights, but for me, it became a problem rather quickly, where it was like all the time, every week, every time something was due, I was doing it the night before it was due. But here's my thought process. I'm doing it the night before it's due, but it's due Eastern Standard Time in America. And I'm over here in Korea, and there at that time it was like a 12-hour difference. And I'm like, I still have like 24 hours before it's due. You see, it was like the math. I was like, okay, I got this. I got 24 hours to finish it. So if I can do it tonight, and then in the morning I can check it again, and then I can turn it in, and then it'll be midnight American time, and then boom, we're good. But I would always wait until the last minute to do it. It became a pattern where I was like, all right, I didn't get to do any of my work throughout the week, so it's due on Sunday night at midnight. So Korean time, Sunday afternoon, I would start doing it. But then I'm thinking, okay, it's Sunday night, midnight American time, so that still gives me plenty of time to do it,
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And I started doing that like every week. And then I had this project that I knew that I had to do the project, but from what I was reading in the syllabus, which is the book that the professor provides for you, it's like, kind of like a rule book, kind of. She was saying how the project's not going to be so difficult, basically, what I gathered from it. You just needed to like write down your experience, kind of like a journal of teaching ESL. So I was like, I've been teaching ESL most of my life, so I can totally do this and just write down my experience. It's fine. I go to start at like, 12, 13 hours before it's due. And I realized that it was a journal entry, pretty much journal entry that I should have been doing for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months worth of writing, at least 5 entries a week. So at least 5 times a week that I had to do right now, today, in this moment in time. And because I have an English degree, an English background, I was very worried about like format and, grammar and all that good jazz. So I was like, I have that. I have to make sure it's perfect. And then of course I need to figure out what angle I want to go at this from. And then I want to write about good experiences that I've had, obviously, because I love teaching. But I do know that teaching isn't all butterflies and rainbows. There are bad things that happen too. So I wanted to add in a few bad experiences. So I had to like try to recall some things. And when I finally sketched out my outline, I only had about 7 or 8 entries, and I needed like 50. So I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. So I did what any college student would do. I went online, and even though it was like 1 or 2 a.m. American time, I asked my professor for an extension. And she was like,
Carley, I've noticed this whole time you always turn in your work the day that it's due, and you never really do more than what's asked.
And I was like,
I apologize. Like, I'm working full time. I'm living in a foreign country, and I'm also a mom to a toddler. So everything is hard.
Just like, I understand life is hard, but you have to see grad school isn't easy, and you have to see it as an investment, in your life. And I thought about that, and I was like, it definitely is an investment, because all I'm seeing is dollar signs. Like, I'm paying a lot of money to be here. So yeah, it's an investment. And she was like, no, I don't think you are all in. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's hard to be all in because I'm not getting paid to be all in here. I'm getting paid to be all in at my job. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm not being paid to be all in here at grad school. Yeah, it's an investment. It's something that it's like high risk, high reward. I'm putting in money, and hopefully I'll make more money at the end of it. But in the meantime, not getting paid. And then also, I was like trying to have a good relationship with my son and build that relationship and everything, and spend time with him. That was hard too. I had a heart-to-heart with her, and I was like, this was going on in my life. I understand that if I'm not all in, I was like, please understand if it seems like I'm not all in, it's just because I'm extremely busy and I'm trying to balance a lot of things. I'm like over here juggling it all. My professor was like, you know what, I totally understand, but I'm not going to give you an extension this time. And she said this time because at the very beginning of the class, or the semester, I asked for an extension because my books were late because they had to be shipped from the US to come to Korea. So she understood that, like, it is what it is. But after that, she was like, I'm not going to give you another extension. So I was like, okay, no, I get it. I agree with you. Of course, I was upset a little bit, but I'm like, I dug my own grave here. Like, this is me. Ooh, if you don't know what that means, you can see right here what that means. Dig your own grave. But anyways, I only submitted half a project because I was like, I might as well submit what I have. It's better than getting a 0. But because I did that, my grade dropped, like plummeted. Because I only submitted half a project, and it was worth a good chunk of my grade. After it all, everything's said and done, I call my mom, I call my dad, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about dropping out of grad school for this semester and restarting it later because I just can't balance everything. I was like, I need time to focus and create like some kind of routine with my son, with my work. And I just kind of jumped in all at once. Like I came back to Korea from summer vacation being in America, came back to Korea, literally started grad school, work, and my kids started daycare all at the same day. I didn't have a plan. So my parents were like, we knew this was kind of going to happen, but we wanted you to figure it out on your own. Costly mistake because I think I lost like $5,000 that semester because I had to drop out of all my classes. So very costly mistake. But my parents said, your chickens come home to roost. I was like, I don't get it.
Okay, boomer.
Because honestly, I didn't know what that meant. I never used this proverb or never heard of this proverb before this day. So I was like, my chickens come home to roost. All right, thanks, mom and dad. Like I'm thinking like, oh, are they finally going a little crazy? Should I be concerned? But no, honestly, it was just me being a little bit low-key dumb, for lack of a better word, and not knowing what this proverb meant. So chickens come home to roost. What could this mean? Given the story that I told you, you might already have an idea, but this just means the consequences of one's actions will eventually catch up with them. The consequences of one's actions will eventually catch up with them. The chickens come home to roost, all right? Now, when my parents told me this, I was like, okay, cool, I don't know what that means, and I just moved on with my life. But shortly after, I Googled it, like every millennial would do when they don't know what it means. You Google something, and I was like, this is so true, because eventually it did all catch up to me, and I lost $5,000 in the process because anything in America is not expensive. Did I say anything in America is not expensive? Hold on. Everything in America is expensive, and that includes grad school. Going to school is not cheap. So I made a $5,000 mistake when I took on too much, and I had too many things on my plate. Whew. Another one. DJ Carley, But I made a very costly mistake by having too many things on my plate, constantly procrastinating, making the same mistakes every week procrastinating, and it all caught up to me to where eventually my actions led up to me not being able to finish the courses. Because this was one course. I had to drop out of all of them because I had the realization that I'm not going to be able to do this. Even if I just drop that one course, even with the other courses that's going on, it's going to be the same. I have to figure out a game plan. So that's what I did. Yeah, my chickens came home to roost, and it was a very expensive trip for my chickens to come back home to roost. $5,000 trip for them to come back home. But I learned my lesson, and I think, I told you guys I've been trying to be better about procrastinating for the past 6-ish years, and that's because it really was 2017 that all the problems that happened there with my school, and then 2018 as well, just life happening a lot where I was like, Carley, you are doing this to yourself. You need to stop. So because of all that, that's how I've tried to overcome that. But now that you guys have the definition and you know what it means, let's get into our favorite part, the history with Carley. Cue the music.
History with Carley.
History with Carley. So it's catchy, right? So I was looking up the history, and the exact origin of this proverb is a bit hazy. It is said to have possibly become popular with the 14th century English poet Geoffrey Chaucer. Yes, I have my notes up. Don't judge me. It's a lot to talk about, all right? And his work, The Parson's Tale. But even in that, it doesn't actually use the exact proverb. It just uses a similar proverb, because his is like, hold on, I have to be acting right now. As a bird that returneth. So the earliest known use of this proverb in its current form actually appears in Robert Southey's 1810 epic poem, The Curse of Cama. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. However, proverbs like this have existed before. There's a Spanish proverb that's almost the same that dates back to the 16th century. Even in the 14th century, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote something similar in his poem Parson's Tale. Similar proverbs have been mentioned all throughout history. But the exact date where this one started, we can't really pinpoint that. You know, we just say, yeah, it came around maybe 1800s, where it's like the closest form of the one that we use now. But also in the 14th century and the 16th century, it was being used in other formats and across different languages. So history, not as cool as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to give us like a clear history. The analogy behind everything is that, or the metaphor rather. So the metaphor here is, though, chickens always return to their nest. They go out, they do whatever they want during the day, they gallivant. That's a good word. I'm going to teach you guys what that word means. So remember this, and then the next video or the next video, I'm going to teach you gallivant. But they go out, they have their good little time, and they come back to their nest at night. You know, they always return. The metaphor here is you go out and you procrastinate, or you make your mistakes, or you do whatever. Well, eventually it's going to come back to you. It's going to return, and you're going to have consequences to your actions or some kind of repercussions. So I have 3 example sentences for you all. So let's go ahead and get started with the example sentences. Example number 1. After years of exploiting natural resources without concern for the environment, the consequences finally caught up with the company and the chickens came home to roost. Boom, mic drop. All right, example number 2. The politicians' scandalous behavior was ignored for too long, but eventually the chickens came home to roost, damaging their reputation irreparably. Boom. Another one. You know, I love, it's like a love-hate relationship I have when justice is served. Example number 3. He thought he could avoid paying taxes indefinitely, but when the IRS caught up with him, the chickens came home to roost, and he faced hefty fines and penalties. As you should. Pay your taxes, people. Pay your taxes. So I hope you guys have a better understanding of this proverb. Thank you to my amazing student, Katty, for suggesting this proverb. You know, it's one that I don't hear often, and honestly, it's a good proverb. A lot of people don't know what it means. Thank you, Katty. If you're watching this, I know you do. I know you comment on my videos. Thank you for suggesting this one. And I hope everyone, not just Katty, was able to benefit from this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next video.